I've been living for Sweden for 4 years, and this experience actually changed me. And I noticed that people here not usually bragging about luxurious lifestyle, even if they have one. Or, for instance, they do not hustle 24/7, they just live their regular normal life, and they seem to be happy. And it's very interesting that Sweden usually in the top 5 of happiest countries in the world. And like, we used to have the American dream that if you got it, then you're happy. If you have a lot of money, then you should be happy. If you have house, if you have this and that, then you should be happy. But here it seems quite calm about it, I would guess. And Swedish lifestyle kind of a little bit different when we talk about possession stuff. So I was wondering what makes Swedish people so happy, and what helped me to understand this more is reading books about Swedish happiness, and one is Lagom, the art of living, I guess, and the other one is finding joy in just enough. So the name of the books says you that the key to happiness in Sweden is Lagom, but I think it's very mainstream, and every person who talks about Sweden, they talk about Lagom, that Lagom is something not too small, not too big, just enough. And I would say I really love this concept, but how do you actually apply it? How you can see it in life? And because sometimes it sounds like a fancy word or just a nice concept, but how you can really apply to it. And I think what I've read, you can actually use it in everyday life, no matter where you live. So first of all, Lagom is not something when you deny having things or when you deny some pleasures in your life. I think it's less about being minimalistic than having essential things for your living, having essential things for you to feel comfortable enough and being enough. So if you have 1 or 2 bottles of water and you use it every day, you don't need extra one because you already have others, and you probably enjoy it because you bought it at some point. I think it's also about being I also think it's also about being in peace with society and other people. And let's see what the book says for us. So as I said before, people not bragging about luxury things, and it's very rarely where you can see people having very expensive cars. And I was living in Russia and I was born in Kazakhstan, and I also traveling a lot in South Korea, for instance. And in these countries, when you have money or when you start earning good enough money, you start buying things that shows that you're upper class, that you have enough money. But in the other hand, for these cases, when you have very expensive car, you must you may live not the expensive life. What I mean, you can take a credit to go for travel, to go vacation somewhere abroad, or I don't know, you can have credit for getting married and everything. So this is mostly about, oh, I have this luxurious brand bag, or I have this car, or I have this ring, but I cannot really afford it. And this is mostly people showing off to have impressions that they are rich, but they might be not rich. And here I noticed that you can see a lot of rich houses if you know the regions and areas. For instance, in Gothenburg, I've been in some, and houses are very, very expensive. But I think that it's not if you see these people living in these buildings, or if you see people going out from these buildings, you're they kind of upper class but not extremely rich, even if their houses extremely like expensive and everything. So for me it's quite good in terms of like maybe you feel you're enough just like you are, and you don't need to have expensive, or like you don't need to have logo of the brand to show that you have enough money. And yeah, I don't know, maybe some people feel this when they need to show off, that it makes them be in society on such level. But I think like old money people, they don't usually do it, or they do it like their own way, and it's not that like screaming at you that yeah I have a lot of money. Then Lagom, you can see it when you just talk to people and you feel that they're like very calm. They have this inner stability. They quite not really anxious, so they feel like settled and landed. And it's very different from people from Russia, for instance, or from countries after like Soviet Union and everything. So the emotional regulation here feels more natural in a way, because people not really rude to you. And in Russia, for instance, if you go to the grocery shop just to buy some bread, like people there sitting and selling this bread, they're so unhappy. So little tiny detail can be a reason to be rude for you, and this is so weird. And when I came here to Sweden, I was like, oh wow, like people smiling to you even if they're working in the shops or in other services. It's very nice, and I also think this is because of the salaries here. But in general, like being emotionally regulated, being emotionally stable, and I think it helps a lot, because you know what causes this reaction and you can do something with your behavior. The other thing here is everyone is important and people get social support. They also have this mentality of I will give to society and I will take from society, but what I give to society is more than I take. And I think this is a very nice concept, because when we're talking about pension or social support or other stuff, it's mostly about like you're working and you have taxes, and this taxes now helps some people, but when you're in need, they will help you as well. And as I understood, it's also very popular here to volunteer and people trying to help other one in need. And it's for Sweden, it's for other countries, people going abroad to help others. Or like I know there are some programs at universities that students going for Africa, for instance, and they bring laptops or other like old computers there, and they learn them how to use it, like the internet and everything. And I think this is very important in terms of helping to society and to contribute to society. It's wide talk about life-work balance, and this is actually it. And I can see it a lot, and I can see how expats work differently from Swedish people, that we have a lot more anxiety regarding to work, because first of all, people here a lot of rely on visas, but on the other hand, we don't have usually well-regulated working hours. Or I know that in some companies you can be fined because you're late for 5 minutes to work, and here we have flexible hours. We have collective of talus, like the collective agreement for working environment and working hours. We have unions, and you can, like, you pay for union to be in union, but union can help you with office and job situation if you have some issues there. And yeah, I think it's really nice. And I know that Swedish people here mostly, they're like, oh, it's 4 p.m, so I'm just heading home because my time is over. And for countries where I'm from, it's like, oh, I'm sitting there until my boss is going home, or it's deadlines usually very tight and you do overtime, but sometimes company just don't pay you, and it's mostly motivated by, oh, you should love what you're doing, and like, we love our project, so we should do it because we love it. And yeah, like, it doesn't matter that maybe something went wrong with planning from company. So yeah, I think here it's more healthy to work and to live and to enjoy life. And I know and I see how people are introducing other parts of life. For instance, you can work and then you can have a break for lunch and just go and like strolling to seashore, for instance, or you can use some of your lunchtime or just evening hours to go to gym and then work these hours more. But yeah, it's mostly about this being very like, yeah, just I think this is like normal attention to your job. It's not extra and it's not very overwhelming, I guess. Probably many of you knows about Scandinavic lifestyle and Scandinavic minimalism and also the interior, and I want to talk more about houses and how it's inside. So when you rent an apartment or when you buy an apartment, every wall is white, so you probably should feel free to paint them and then paint them back to white. So I think this whiteness is very nice for building apartment you like and bring any color you want to have, because in some countries it's very like, you can rent grandmother lifestyle apartment that wasn't renovated for 50 years probably, and the price will be extremely high, so it doesn't make sense. But here I was really happy with apartments that I rent. And what else I can say, that what's inside in this apartment, I know that in Sweden people trying to decorate a lot with second-hand items, or you can find something in the garbage room. For instance, one of my friends, she found some nice sofa, or you can find TV there. So yeah, just feel free to go and check your garbage room if you have one. But what else, like, people trying to bring more stuff that are from natural materials like wood or wool, I guess. And yeah, it brings more like natural vibe to apartment. And it's also nice to have a lot of decorations, but it's also like not too many decoration is just enough to feel cozy, to be comfortable at your apartment, and to have these decorations and colors and everything to, you know, just show your personality and what you like. And also there is a concept in Sweden called Fredagsmys, I guess, and it's something like Friday coziness. So people going from work, they stay at home, they're having very nice dinner and just laying in couch, maybe lighting some candles and having very nice time, and they like very appreciate this coziness. And I think the key here is to be conscious about it. Like, I can light my candles, of course, but if I do it like in a romanticizing way, I guess I would say it, then I feel it like, oh, this is the picture of Pinterest I like I've seen day ago, for instance. And this is actually a part of my life, and this is very nice. In one of the books, the biggest part of Swedish traditions was family and which traditions it brings to children, for instance. And I think in every country you will hear that family is very important and how you need to be close to your parents and everything. But what I like here in Sweden, that for instance in Russia or in Kazakhstan, you can hear a lot that children should be seen but not heard. And it was mentioned that it's not the case for Sweden, and Swedish people trying to include their kids for every activity they're doing. And in the future, it will bring to the moment where children really include parents in their activities, because they're not like, oh, you just, I don't need to see you here. And yeah, and as I see it, Sweden is very good country for having kids here, because infrastructure, free healthcare, or just like people being friendly with kids but being not really rude, or I don't know how it's like, say, it's not aggressive but being aggressive in kind way, like, oh, what a nice kid, and like touching children without parents' permission. I think it's kind of rude. And like, if it will be adult touching my personal space, I wouldn't love it. And from strangers, it's even weirder. And as I understood, children taught at schools that they're very important. No one can hurt them, no one can scream at them, no one can do any physical damage to them as well. And I really love this about Sweden, how children are protected by government. And because in some countries it's okay to beat kids because they misbehave or they spill something, split something. So I don't think this is a healthy environment for kids. But in Sweden it's not normalized. It's actually like something that you can be blamed for, or you can even have like the visit from a social service. And if you're talking about family activities also, I noticed how many people and families, they're going to hike, they're going to spend time during summer on the sea beaches. And this is very lovely how people tend to spend their time in nature, because like in most cities in Russia, you need to spend 1 hour or more to go to the forest, to go to the river or lake. But here it's mostly like, I live in Gothenburg, and here is mostly 20 minutes away from me, so it's very comfortable. And I really see how crowded it is during sunny and summer days. And yes, this is really amazing, because I also see how people here, they're really enjoying summer. They're doing like sun buses, they're doing nature buses, I would say. They're just like laying down or sitting and enjoying. It feels like a meditation in a way. But I would say I would really love to have this calmness of mind in me, because I changed here. I stopped being Russian for success and for this American dream where you need to work a lot and play hard and everything. Like here, I feel I need to chill. And I really need to calm down, because sometimes I was like, I'm too pushy, I'm too bossy, and it feels more healthy here. And I started to have like less stress here when I moved in Sweden. And so I think the nature is a big part of Swedish life. So what I think about Lagom and what I need to know, because it's not just a funny concept that you can apply to life, but it's also heritage of Lutheran Church, and it's kind of not good or bad, but I think we need to know where it came from. So the Lutheran Church is mostly about simplicity, minimalism, about not having something extra, and having extra luxury things were blamed. And yeah, like you need to be very calm. You don't need to brag about any stuff. And I think this was, I think it affected a lot the Swedish culture. And Swedish culture is very opposite to American culture, especially in the working field. And as I told, here's work-life balance, and we have 6 weeks of vacation. We have paid parental leave for more than a year. But in America, like, you have this American dream. You need to work hard. You need to go and like do everything you need to do to achieve something, and even more, like, your stress level goes up. And I know a lot of people don't have vacation, or like a lot of vacation days, just like 2 weeks, and that's it. And you're going to work after birth, like in 3 months, I would say. I'm not really sure because I never lived in America, but I know that how everyone is talking, how like American culture, American working culture, and yeah, so it's very different. And I really like this Swedish lifestyle if we talk about work. When I talk about something, I really want to see if there's any negative side of the concept we're talking about, because it usually doesn't break only good things, but it might cause something else. And for instance, what I kind of noticed, that people are not bragging about themselves, and in this way they feel like pressure to not speak up when it comes to their achievements. And if you have some achievements, if you're very good at something, you sometimes not very visible to society because you very stand out from everyone else. So this might be not good, and you might be too ambitious, too noisy, too loud for some aspects in your life, and can also be a little bit blamed, I guess. But yeah, I think it happens in every country. You always feel some pressure from society, so I don't think it's a very big deal here, but this is what I could think if you're talking about cons of Lagom. So what do you think? Will you live here? Do you like this concept? Or how you can actually apply it to your life? Because I like the house aspect of coziness and everything about living in society and bringing a lot to it. And I also think that the balance is a key. Like, we can achieve a lot of stuff, but we also need time to rest. We need time to spend with family and friends. We need to create our traditions and bring them to our families. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.